What's up everybody, welcome to Nerd Outbreak. My name is Tim and today we're going to be watching a video about gimmicks that were given to wrestlers as a punishment. This should be a good one. We all know Dusty Rhodes is going to be on this list. Will he be the first one? Will he be the last one? It's the main one that everybody knows, so he'll be on this list. I'm interested. Who do you guys think was given a gimmick as a punishment? Will they be on this list? Comment down below. And if you're interested in seeing more videos like this one, like and subscribe, and we'll do more just like this.
10 WWE gimmicks that were given as a punishment. Number 10, Dusty Rhodes. A WWE signing Dusty Rhodes in the late 80s was a huge deal. Rhodes was without a doubt one of the biggest names in pro wrestling, and he was a household name that would have reignited the main event scene in WWE. It was Vince McMahon who decided to assign Rhodes the gimmick of the common man who would wear cartoonish black and yellow polka dots. This was a baffling move, and it was theorized by fans as well as other wrestling personalities that McMahon didn't care that he had a name like Rhodes on his roster. All he wanted to do was humiliate him. According to Jim Ross on his podcast, he firmly believes that the gimmick was a rib. I think it was a rib. I have a hard time being able to defend that it wasn't. And I think Dusty was a key player with the competition, and without calling out the competition, without doing any billionaire Ted skits as we saw later on, I think it was a subtle way to throw a little shade on Dusty because he was a top babyface, the booker, and the owner's right-hand man. This backwards booking was...
I wasn't a big fan of Dusty Rhodes, so I can't really comment too much on this other than it's the most famous example of a rib happening. I just didn't follow a lot of Dusty's, and I wonder if a lot of that is because I knew him from the WWF and he was given a gimmick that wasn't supposed to work, so I was kind of the mark for that. Yeah, I was the target demographic for a gimmick that wasn't supposed to work.
Was highly detrimental to Rhodes' success in WWE, and it was yet another example of McMahon putting his own malicious motives at the forefront. Number 9, Perry Satin. Now, upon going off on Jobber Mike Bell during the WWE Jack match in 2000, WWE decided to punish Perry Satin by giving him an embarrassing gimmick. This gimmick was likely designed not to just humiliate the former European champion, but to also make Satin an afterthought in the eyes of the fans. Following receiving a head trauma during the match with the APA, Satin began to act incredibly different. He'd become more eccentric and he'd fall in love with a model.
I remember it being pretty over.
Whilst it sounds totally ridiculous, it somehow
fans loved it.
Satin over, as the fans loved how ridiculous the whole character was.
They know.
Intended to fail due to the positive fan reception, WWE had no choice but to give Satin a mini push, and he even received a pay-per-view match at the 2001 Unforgiven pay-per-view against Raven. Number 8, RTruth.
That feud.
RTruth is prone to...
That feud was terrible with Raven. I do remember the segment where Raven put the mop in a wood chipper, and the wood chipper wasn't eating it right away like it was supposed to, and it almost looked like Raven was afraid to push it in there, and it was very uncomfortable for all the wrong reasons.
Excelling in any gimmick WWE gives him, and in 2011, when RTruth decided to smoke during an episode of Raw in the UK, Vince McMahon decided to give him a new gimmick that would act as a punishment. The new gimmick would see RTruth having an imaginary friend known as Little Jimmy. In typical Truth fashion, although the gimmick was designed to flop and humiliate him, it did the complete opposite. Truth made it work, and it managed to enhance his already riveting heel persona. This was simply a testament to Truth's abilities, and
Wait, so is that true? RTruth wasn't supposed to smoke in that segment? He did that all on his own and got punished for it? Can anybody confirm that? I'd like to know in the comments. Is that true? Did he actually got punished for that? Like, that wasn't a part of the segment? Like, that's crazy that he would do that in the like on a WWE show, knowing that they're a kid-friendly show, that he would just smoke in the... I'd like to get confirmation on that one.
There's a reason that Truth has been cemented in the main role on TV since 2008. Number 7, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. WrestleMania 3 saw Ricky Steamboat steal the show alongside Randy Savage, yet despite Steamboat walking out of the match as new Intercontinental Champion, his reign would be short-lived. Steamboat would ask for time off to be with his newborn child, and in typical Vince McMahon fashion, he held this against Steamboat for the rest of his career. McMahon wanted the Intercontinental Champion that could tour, so he decided to have him drop the title to the Honky Tonk Man. When Steamboat returned, he was treated much differently by McMahon, and when he had another run in the company in 1991, he was simply referred to as The Dragon, and WWE would bizarrely act as if The Dragon was this new character that fans had never seen before. The dragon gimmick was without a doubt a direct punishment, although WWE executives such as Bruce Pritchard like to claim that the gimmick was designed to reintroduce the fans to Steamboat. This is clearly utter nonsense. A guy like Ricky Steamboat didn't need a gimmick like this. Number 6, Piggy James.
Yeah,
Revolving a wrestling character.
Times were definitely different back then. If you wanted to see your kid.
In 2009, WWE came up with the insane idea of branding Mickey James as Piggy James. The angle featured the villainous duo of LayCool poking fun at James's weight, and despite the fan reception to the angle being extremely low, WWE persisted with the angle for months. It's widely believed that the character acted as a direct punishment for James and John Cena's relationship coming to an end, and this was just incredibly petty behavior from WWE management. According to James during an interview on the Ring the Bella podcast, the storyline was an extremely hard storyline to deliver. It was hard at the moment, and I think it was hard for everyone in order to do it. There would be times like, oh, I think this might be a little too far, but I will say the end goal was to get Michelle and Layla over as monster heels, and as big heels, and I think I was very successful in that retrospect. I think that for that generation of people, especially now with speaking out...
Yeah, I think people definitely felt bad for Mickey James.
Words are so powerful. Extra criticism was directed towards WWE as they were running the BA Star anti-bullying campaign at the time, and it was seen by many as total hypocrisy.
It is hard to represent the company and to be a heel and to be a bully representing the company, while at the same time you're doing the thing that you're saying people shouldn't be doing, and that it should be looked at as a bad thing. Like, they were bullying and that was bad, but it's representing the company that's saying that you shouldn't be doing the bullying, so it looks like you're being a hypocrite, even though it's supposed to be portrayed as bad. Like, they were supposed to be the bad guys. So that is a little bit complicated.
Number 5, DLo Brown. DLo Brown was one of the most underrated stars of the Attitude Era, yet as the era went on, he was moved dramatically down the card. By mid-2000, WWE had no interest in featuring Brown in major roles on TV, and despite this, they decided to give Brown a new gimmick which completely annihilated his credibility, and the gimmick was so atrocious that it destroyed any chance that Brown had to move back up the card. That gimmick in question would see Brown join forces with Chaz in a tag team known as Lowdown. The tag team was the definition of mid, and they even had Tiger Ali Singh joining the team to become their manager. The tag team would come...
I remember being a fan.
...like attire and Sikh turbans, and the motives behind Brown's gimmick change were never really fully explored on television. Unfortunately, Brown classed...
I thought it was ridiculous, but Chaz and DLo as a team were good.
Shelton Benjamin. In late 2005, a report surfaced online that Shelton Benjamin had backstage heat. An extract from the initial 2005 report from WrestleZone reads, one source within WWE says that Shelton Benjamin's string of losses over the past few months was punishment for behavior directed at a veteran road agent. The Torch newsletter described the behavior as a blatant negative and disrespectful attitude shown toward at least one veteran road agent. In a move that clearly wasn't a coincidence, just a matter of weeks after this report surfaced, Benjamin was giving a new gimmick where his mama would become an on-air character. This gimmick was comedic in nature, and it didn't exactly make Benjamin look great during the early stages. And in a weird twist of fate, the gimmick managed to get over as Benjamin and the Mama character connected to the fans, and it actually managed to enhance the matches of Benjamin, as there was now no more sports entertainment elements to his presentation.
It's an example of somebody taking a bad gimmick and running miles with it, and it got over with the fans even though it wasn't supposed to. And sometimes you just gotta maximize your time on camera.
Benjamin would even receive a substantial push with the gimmick, which culminated him in winning the Intercontinental title from Ric Flair on Raw in early 2006. Number 3, Mark Henry. Now, over the years, there have been endless gimmicks that have been placed on TV to make Vince McMahon laugh. This was no doubt the case when Mark Henry debuted his sexual chocolate persona in 1999. According to Henry, McMahon found the gimmick utterly hilarious, and on paper,
another one that got over with the fans.
But Henry put his life and soul into the character. The gimmick was outlandish in nature, and it went beyond Henry being a ladies' man, as he would start a romance with Mae Young, and the two would even have a baby hand together. Now, there have been prominent rumors for years that WWE would often give Henry gimmicks with the intention of making him quit. However, this evidently didn't work. It's worth noting that Henry, as well as top WWE names, have denied that this was the WWE's intention, but it's an interesting rumor to say the very least. Number 2, Brus Clay. But during vignettes promoting Brus Clay's return to television, it seemed like Clay was going to be given a monster push with his serious, legitimate character. However, when Clay debuted on TV with a dancing gimmick, fans were collectively speechless. Clay would now be known as the Funkasaurus, and this character descended from Planet Funk on a mission to move booty.
I didn't think it was too bad.
Bodies. The issue with the gimmick was that
I didn't think it was too bad.
Dancing gimmicks can only get wrestlers so far, and this was the case here. With that being said, WWE committed a ton of resources to the character, and they even gave the Planet Funk resident a big segment at WrestleMania 28. Speaking to Robbie E., the former WWE star stated that Triple H wanted him to be the next big top heel in WWE, but it was McMahon who wanted him to be a comedic character. Triple H had me ready to be his next big heel. He had no desire to do the Funkasaurus thing. The old man Vince McMahon thought I was funny, and somehow being funny in the locker room equates to dancing in the ring. Was I disappointed? I knew Funkasaurus wasn't winning the World Championship, but I knew Brus Clay could have. I knew that my role wasn't going to be the guy that got the party started or kept him in the seats like Junkyard Dog or even Dusty Rhodes himself, which he claimed I was being punished for his sins. It was always one of my favorite lines, because you're mine, you're being punished for my sins. And the gimmick would last around 15 months before it began to get stale, and WWE...
That's a long time for a comedy
go in a
gimmick.
Completely different direction with him. And number 1, Diamond Dallas Page. When WWE brought in DDP in 2001, the belief of the fans was that DDP would be delivering a WWE version of his widely celebrated WCW persona. DDP was insanely over with the WCW fans, and it would have easily been a top babyface in WWE if they allowed him to portray a similar version to the character that was present on WCW television. Unfortunately, WWE had other ideas, as they decided to debut DDP as a villainous stalker. You begin to stalk The Undertaker's wife, and this gimmick was destined to crash and burn, as nobody wanted to see DDP in such a sinister and chilling role. Could this gimmick have worked if it had been a different wrestler? Well, possibly, but the nature of the gimmick is hard to develop, as it's basically a dead-end character that's hard to recover from. DDP struggled greatly when the feud with The Undertaker came to an end, and his subsequent gimmick struggled to take off, as his stock had dropped to such an all-time low that the fans now saw him as a lower card talent. According to DDP during an interview with Inside the Ropes, accepting the gimmick was both the worst and best thing he ever did in his career. When I tell you it was the worst decision I made and the best decision I ever made in my life, I don't say anything. What I should have said was, it's a great idea for someone else. When you want to do the People's Champion versus the People's Champion, call me. If I walk out there, get in an elevator, I'm not going to make it to the airport. You would have called me back and brought me right back in. I didn't do that. Why is this the best decision? Why was it the best decision? It made me a much smarter businessman. Whilst the gimmick was indeed atrocious, it ultimately didn't hinder DDP's legacy, as the majority of fans were able to see that the gimmick was down to a bad creative direction rather than the efforts of DDP himself. But there you have it, folks. 10 WWE gimmicks that were given as a punishment. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.
Yeah, guys, did you see anybody on there that wasn't on there? Like, leave it in the comments. I'm very curious how many people got punished with bad gimmicks. DDP was one of the worst ones. He had so much potential. Brus Clay was up there too. But DDP was a legend. Like, he already had the credibility to be the top, and they really dropped the ball with him. Granted, he was already up there in age, but let's be honest, he was being punished just because of where he came from. He came from WCW, the competition, and he got punished for it. Anyway, do you guys want to see more videos like this where I kind of react to other people's videos? If so, like the video, maybe even comment down below that you want to see more like this. And I'll see you guys next time on Nerd Outbreak.